10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 144. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 144 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. My name is Nick Manella. Welcome if you are a brand new listener, and welcome back if you are somebody who's been listening for a long time. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and very excited to bring you this lesson this week. Just a reminder that you can get the PDFs to this episode and every single episode that we've ever done at our Patreon page, and you can find that by going to 10minutejazzlesson.com and clicking on one of the Patreon banners. This is a huge help if you choose to become a patron. It's only $3 a month, and you get a lot of fantastic benefits out of this. Now, it's really tough for us digital media producers to actually make a living these days. We're so used to getting our media for free. So I want you to ask yourself something if you've been somebody who's been thinking about this for a while and not done it yet. Do we bring you $3 worth of value every single month? And if you feel like we do, then we would really, really appreciate it if you went over to Patreon and pledged your support to us. We have a ton of new members this week, and I just wanted to give a big shout out to all of them because you guys are really the ones that make this podcast possible. So thank you to Michael, Terry, Ed, Sand Channel, Stefan, Horst, Bill, and Brian. Thank you all so much for pledging that support. They have joined over 180 people that agree that we are worth your $3 every single month. So thank you. If you are going to go over there and sign up, we really appreciate it. Keeps things coming at you. All right, let's get into today's episode. So today we're starting a series that is going to be a pretty lengthy series, but I truly think that it is going to benefit you a lot. And we're going to talk about extensions. We're going to talk about the acceptable extensions on all of the most commonly used chords. And this is really important because I think a lot of people question themselves when they think about, okay, what kind of 9 can I use? What kind of 11 can I use? What kind of 13 can I use? That kind of stuff. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal when you play because this is kind of the difference between hitting a note that's going to sound very sour over a chord as opposed to hitting a note that's going to sound amazing when it comes to playing extensions. So first, let's talk about what extensions are. So we all know what a seventh chord is, right? 1, 3, 5, and 7. Those are the basic notes that go into any type of seventh chord. Absolutely essential for every jazz musician to know what those notes are because they are the launching point for everything that we're going to do. So basically what we're talking about is we're talking about the in-between notes. So we're talking about 4, 6, 2, those notes. But we don't tend to call them that in jazz. We tend to call them instead by their extension name. And the reason that is, it comes from harmonic instruments like piano, guitar, any instruments that are playing a chord. We refer to them as their extensions because typically they go above the chord, and that's where they sound the clearest. So instead of playing 1, 2, and 3 all right next to each other, which is going to sound super muddled and super dissonant, instead, we place that 9th on top. So we would play 1, 3, 5, 7, and then we would play the 9th on top. Now, I know this is information that most of you know already, but it never hurts to reinforce why we do this. So instead of calling them 2, 4, and 6, instead we're going to call it 9, 11, and 13. And that's what our exercises here are going to be based off of. So we're going to start with the major seventh chord, right? We're going to talk about the acceptable extensions here. So let's start by just identifying them. On a major 7 chord, the extensions that we want to use are 9, a regular 9, a sharp 11, and a 13. All right. Those are the extensions that are most commonly used. Those are the ones that sound really good, and that's a good starting point. Now, of course, we could start to use these other notes, but we're not going to talk about that yet. We're sticking to the basics here. So 9, sharp 11, 13. So let's think about this in terms of a C major 7 chord. So the notes that would comprise our 9, sharp 11, 13 over a C major 7 chord would be D, F sharp, and A. So let's check out what that sounds like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to voice a simple chord voicing with my left hand, and then I'm going to play up 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, sharp 11, 13 with my right hand, so you can hear just how good these extensions sound over the top of a chord. Let's check it out. So I think you would agree that these are some pretty sweet sounding notes over the top of that. Let's talk about one thing. The only note that's actually outside of the scale that goes along with this chord, which is just a simple C major scale, is that sharp 11. So why do we use sharp 11 and not regular 11? Well, the thing about regular 11 is that it clashes with the harmony of a C major 7 chord. What it does is it kind of obscures the fact that it's major. If we have an F natural, that is a half step away from an E, and that's just going to muddy the waters. So instead what we like to do is raise that 4th degree, and we like to make it a sharp 11. It also creates a little bit of dissonance, which we really like. You know, jazz is built off of some dissonant notes, so that sharp 11 gives us a little bit of that. So that's why we're not using the regular 4. Now, let me make a distinction here. When you are playing over a C major 7 chord, you can use an F natural, but you don't want to hang out on it. And what we're talking about right now is notes that you can really, really sustain if you'd like. All these notes sound really good. In fact, I hang out on 9s, sharp 11s, and 13s all the time over major chords because they're just a really good sounding note. So you could still use the regular 4, but remember, use it as a passing tone, right? That's what you're going to want to do. And also another thing to point out is that when we have these 3-note extensions, now we're using every single note in the scale. Yes, we are altering one of them, but these extensions account for the other 3 notes that aren't in the regular arpeggio, that aren't 1, 3, 5, and 7. So it really fills in a lot of gaps for us. Another thing that we're going to be talking about throughout this series is that typically we have these 3-note extensions, right? And what you'll notice on this chord is that, let's take C major again, for example. So if you put a D, F sharp, and A on top of a C major 7 chord, you're getting a D major arpeggio. And this is where a lot of other advanced techniques come from, like triad pairs. This is one of the best triad pairs to play over a C major 7 chord is a C major triad and a D major triad. And those are derived very, very simply just from thinking about the extensions. If we take the 3 extensions, we get that D major triad, and now we have this really cool device that we can use called the triad pair. Now, I don't want you to necessarily start working on triad pairs if you're new to this. Just stick to the exercise that I'm about to show you, which is we're going to take all 12 keys of major 7th chords, and this is going to be your PDF for the week, and we're going to play through playing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, sharp 11, 13. And what this does is it works out to 6 eighth notes and 1 quarter note, so it fits into a bar of 4/4 really nicely. We're going to use the circle of fourths. That's what's going to be on your PDF because I truly believe that the circle of fourths is the most useful way to play it, but also practice it chromatically. You can also practice it around the circle of fifths. There's so many different ways that you can practice this, and I do recommend switching it up from time to time. But I want you to have your PDF in front of you, and what I'm going to do is actually play through all 12 keys of this exercise so you can hear what it sounds like. All right? Let's check out what the exercise sounds like. So you can hear it actually sounds pretty good. That sharp 11 is a really nice sound and one that is kind of ubiquitous in the jazz language over a major 7 chord. Don't be afraid of that note. Actually really learn how to use it. Okay? This is going to be really valuable for you guys if you start practicing this stuff. And this whole series is meant to just give you a handle on what notes are available to you in terms of extensions. And this is kind of the next level of thinking when it comes to playing jazz. If you start understanding the extensions and you start using them, your playing is going to take on a whole new sound. There's going to be a whole new dimension to your playing. So I think this is going to be super important. Send me any questions that you might have, 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com. And remember, if you feel like we're giving you $3 of value every month, and hopefully we are, a lot of people think that we are, hopefully you're one of them, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can go over to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, and sign up to get your membership going. And I promise you that just this episode alone is going to benefit you a lot. Everybody always wonders how to get better at jazz. This is the way. I've had some great teachers that have shown me this stuff, and I am very passionate about relaying it to you guys. So we're going to close the episode by playing over some major chord progressions, and I'm going to try to use some of these extensions as much as I can so that you can kind of get the sound a little bit more in your ears, just like we've done with the exercise. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week with some brand new episodes. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Huh?